I honestly don't reckon there has been very many Eastern Conference Finals matchups over the last 15 to 20 years that's ended in a sweep. Because the New York Knicks just did that yesterday to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers basically just got run off the court 4 games in a row. It was kind of hard to view, to be completely honest with you. Obviously, a lot of people at the moment, in terms of these NBA finals and the build-up and everything going on, people are saying whoever comes out of the West is going to win the NBA finals. And I honestly can agree with that, and I see where the viewership comes from, because both of these teams out West are absolute juggernauts. As it stands at the time of me recording this video, OKC's up 3-2. Oklahoma City is a ridiculously good basketball team. They went into a game today without their second and third highest scorers in the playoffs and still won by 15 points. It amazes me. That team truly does amaze me. However, the way that I've watched these New York Knicks play basketball over the last few weeks, can I convince myself that Madison Square Garden might be hanging a banner up at the end of the season? Because this team over the last 2 series has been ridiculous to watch on both sides of the basketball. Mikal Bridges has lived up to every single first-round pick that was traded for him. Jalen Brunson is proving why he can be a small guard and the leading scorer on a championship team. Karl Anthony Towns is not being that offensive threat that we expected him to be years gone by. But Karl Anthony Towns is becoming a plus defender. And so many of us have always seen Karl Anthony Towns as a one-sided shoot the 3 ball as a big man, but can't defend on the other side of the court. That's why the Minnesota Timberwolves at the time got Rudy Gobert. Josh Hart is just a guy that you need on your basketball team, regardless of what you need, whether it be shooting, whether it be playmaking, rebounding, hustle plays. Like, this team has so many... Landry Shamet is one name that I went back to the start of the season because I remembered making a TikTok short on Landry Shamet, talking about Landry Shamet's signing. And at the time, I was the most uninterested and I basically just said was, oh yeah, so this is the news that we get in the league today because it's a slow news day in the league. He shot 12 for 13 in the Eastern Conference Finals. And was getting down in his chair, was defending the other team's best player in spurts in Donovan Mitchell. Mitchell Robinson is honestly one of the better defenders that I've watched play basketball in a very, very long time. And if Mitchell Robinson was able to shoot goddamn free throws, this guy would be a freak on the basketball court. Because not being able to shoot free throws is the entire reason Mitchell Robinson stays off the court so often as he does. Miles McBride is an amazing basketball player. Can this team convince me that they can win 4 games against one of these 2 teams? And the more and more that I go into it and the deeper that I go into it, I'm telling myself yes. Obviously, Cleveland wasn't an amazing matchup for them in terms of proving themselves in the Eastern Conference Finals, but they have showed us that against Evan Mobley, against Jarrett Allen, against scoring in Donovan Mitchell, against James Harden, as bad as James Harden was in this series, against James Harden, they just made him look like a G League team. I don't know how else to describe it. This team is humming on all cylinders, has been perfect, basically perfect in the last 2 series that they've played. I just am being convinced by the New York Knicks. And that is crazy to say out loud. Madison Square Garden is the absolute mecca of basketball. Having finals basketball in that stadium for the first time in 27 years will be absurd. And, like, we know Knicks fans travel, and I think that has been one of the biggest things for the Knicks so far in this entire playoffs, is like they went to Philly and they made Philly games feel like home games. So many people were going to Cleveland to the point where I seen a report on my Instagram or whatever it was that the general manager of the Cleveland Cavaliers denied Knicks fans courtside seats because this franchise and these fans are so committed to being there for their team and cheering on their team, and just insane. This video, it's not what this video is about today, but I basically just went on a 6-minute rant about the New York Knicks and how good they've been. Obviously, as I've said, like, my idea of these long videos is to talk about the teams that have been eliminated and to basically break down and see what's next for these teams. I just had to give the New York Knicks some props because obviously I've missed a couple of days on the shorts and I'm sorry for that. But I just had to get some props to the New York Knicks because watching this team play basketball has been so fun over the last week or so. As for the Cleveland Cavaliers, on kind of a more sour note, to be completely honest, I don't know where to go. And it's there is so many different possibilities for this team over this offseason. The biggest thing for me, to be completely honest, is I think some form of change needs to happen. Because this is now year number 5, I believe, of this core. And this is the furthest that they've gotten. And even if you go and say, oh, we made the conference finals. Yes, you made the conference finals, but you got embarrassed in the conference finals. So I don't even know if you can count it as the appearance as a whole. The best stretch of basketball that you had in this entire final series was you were up 22 points on the road looking to secure game 1, and you would have turned the entire series on its head. And then with 8 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, you just didn't score the basketball. And you let New York get absolutely everything they wanted. They got James Harden on an island time and time again. Jalen Brunson couldn't stop scoring. Mikal Bridges was shooting the shit out of the basketball. And after that, it was all just down the road. A lot of teams like to concede. A lot of teams concede game 4, get the gentleman's sweep, go back home, and then finish the series. But you as a Cleveland Cavaliers franchise went out on your home floor in game 4 and basically just said, F this, we're done. Because that is the type of performance that I watched yesterday. There was no determination. You basically just looked cooked in this series. Donovan Mitchell was basically the only one that was trying to compete, at least for the first half of this game. And so this core needs to go. In what way and what route you go with this core, I'm not sure. I genuinely am so not sure with this team at the moment. Because obviously in the middle of the season, James Harden suddenly appears on the market. You, without even blinking, put Darius Garland, who obviously has been injury prone over the last couple of years, but you immediately put Darius Garland on that trade block, get rid of him, say, this is the change that we need. And at the time, in the first couple of weeks during the regular season of this trade, it looked phenomenal. James Harden was feeding Jared Allen. He was feeding Evan Mobley. The offense was flowing. Donovan Mitchell seemed to be loving life with a second ball handler because you don't have Darius Garland anymore, who wasn't on the court. But then you get to the playoffs, and for a lot of these playoffs, you were struggling. You barely got past the Toronto Raptors, who you were heavily favored against. You just got past the Detroit Pistons, who the Detroit Pistons only were there because they beat the Orlando Magic in 3 straight games. And then you get to this New York series and just in the click of a finger, you're done. I'm really not too sure. Because there's rumours circulating. Obviously, you probably do have enough of a trade package to get Giannis Antetokounmpo. But that involves Evan Mobley. And in my personal opinion, like, do you want to speed the timeline up that much? Because you've sped the timeline up already, getting rid of Darius Garland and going for James Harden. Do you want to further accelerate that timeline by getting rid of Evan Mobley and bringing back a 31-year-old Giannis Antetokounmpo? It's really, really interesting. And what happens with Donovan Mitchell, we don't know just yet. Jared Allen, obviously you probably don't want to dump Jared Allen off for just salary filler or whatever it may be. But something needs to tweak in this core, and there's so many different ways that you can go about it. Because this team is a great basketball team. Don't get me wrong. I'm sorry about my camera. It is just not wanting to focus today. This is a great basketball team. Don't get me wrong. But do they beat OKC? Absolutely not. Do they beat the Spurs anytime in the next 5 years? Not a chance in the world. Do they even beat the New York Knicks for the next couple of seasons? I don't think so. So, obviously, I think Dennis Schroeder's going to be on his 175th new team again next year. I don't think he will re-sign with the Cavs. What you do with the likes of Jalen Tyson had a career year this year and then basically got to the playoffs and got told he wasn't playing. Sam Merrill in stretches looked like the best shooter in the world, and in other times looked like he couldn't pull a fish out of a barrel. And there is pieces on this team, but inconsistency came to play in some points, and I think that's what hurt them so much. I've never been a big James Harden hater. I've loved me some James Harden during the prime years of his career, but you get that playoff James Harden where it just doesn't look like he is coming up in the right moments. Because he struggled with turnovers all series long. He struggled with finding his shots from the field. 8 of his 12 points yesterday were free throws. He only got 2 two-point jump shots to go an entire game 4 where you need to, your back is against the wall. You need to at least save your face and win a game at home. Yeah, obviously, James Harden's probably the point guard again of this team next season because he's got a player option again next season. He will come back. It's for like $50 million or whatever it is. I just don't know what you put around James Harden at this point in time. They're not going to run it back. I can almost guarantee you, as a Cleveland Cavaliers organization, Kenny Atkinson's coming back, and at time even there was questions about Kenny Atkinson and what was going to go on with him, because there is a coach that goes onto the media and says, but when you really look at it, like, we should be 2 games up in the... Should be. You can't get on a press conference and say that you should be 2 games up in a series. Like, but anyway, like, the Cavs will be an interesting one. And obviously, of all the playoff teams, I think they will be probably the most interesting team to watch. Because they have made it this far, but there is so many cracks in this franchise that I don't know what's going to go on. Do I say Donovan Mitchell's on this roster next year? I'm going to make the prediction of probably not. Because he has been at this franchise for a while now. He has seen the same results time and time again. They felt like they have put the right pieces around him so many different times. I just don't think... I think the writing's on the wall. With Donovan Mitchell, I think it's time for him to move on and find somewhere else. But who knows? I mean, it will be so interesting to see, and I'll be a part of it every single step of the way, reporting on it as everything happens. But this Cleveland Cavaliers team needs to change to some extent. I think the years of running it back are well and truly over. Yeah, that's about it. I think that's pretty much all I've got. The New York Knicks are in the NBA Finals, and it is so good for basketball. Obviously, I will be back here in a couple of days' time, whether it be 2 days' time, when the OKC Thunder potentially wrap up the series on the road, or I'll be back here after Game 7 talking about either one of those two teams. To be completely honest, that video won't be very long, because both the OKC Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs will be great basketball teams for many, many years to come. And I don't know how much you actually tweak that roster. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you made it this far, considering subscribing and liking would be amazing. Yeah, this is just, like, as I've said time and time again, it's just a passion piece for me. But like, getting involved with you guys and connecting with you guys is the best part about this. And I think, like, me being Australian, trying to find a community on the other side of the world is hard. I do agree. But if you guys just want to connect to me, speak to me about, like, that is all I'm hoping for. And it's trying to bring not only basketball fans together, but basketball fans all over the world. And I think that's really what I'm trying to do. But anyway, the Cleveland Cavaliers have got some things to do. We will be reporting on it, whether it be shorts or long form. Thank you guys so much for watching again. I will talk to you guys in another few days. Keep up with the shorts, and thank you guys so much. See you later, guys.